honestly, I'm genuinely getting concerned about the extremism of the rhetoric that's coming from the Democrats in America. They seem to genuinely want to kill the MAGA movement, and I mean like literally stamp it out, which is concerning to me because I think there is, as Joe Biden said, a kind of war for America's soul. There's the sort of Lockean American republicanism, which is very limited, limited government, free speech, rights of man, right to own property and be armed and be left alone by the government. And that very, as an Englishman, I'm like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. And then you've got the sort of very much, the Democrats have adopted kind of the French revolutionary perspective, where actually the state owns everything, and actually the Capitol is a sacred building. That's the most revealing part, because like any traditional American would say, the Capitol is nothing. Right, it's a building. We made it. We pay for it. It's ours because the people come together. They institute the government. If they don't like it, they can just tear it all down and cast it to the wind and create a new one. But the French view of liberalism is that the government is actually a sacred instrument. It's actually verging on fascism, which is rather concerning. And I think that we're seeing this coming to the fore now. But anyway, before we start, if you want to support us, go over to lotus.com, sign up and watch this latest Contemplations, which is great. What do the elite actually want? Now, I'm not going to spoil it, but control is definitely one of the most important things. So anyway, let's begin with Biden's red speech. Did you? I take it you watched this speech.
I didn't actually listen to the whole thing.
No. If you can scroll down just so you can get the blood red imagery up.
Definitely saw the images.
Yeah. I mean, it's just wild. Like there's soldiers in the background with just the blood red. Like, what are you doing? Like, who's his coordinator? And then, he says, literally, MAGA Republicans embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. It's like, Joe, these are your countrymen?
Yep. The great, the unifying president was complaining that Trump was divisive.
Yeah, exactly. It's wild.
Yeah, it's been a long time since the USA had a president who I think even really tried to unite people.
But it's been a long time since I've had one that talks like this about their opponents as well.
Yeah, but I think for over a decade now, they've been at each other's throats to the point of not just... I think it's one thing when you having disagreements, but when you start emphatically labeling the other side as an existential threat...
Yeah.
Then, because what do you do with an existential threat?
You have to destroy it.
Yeah, you have to destroy it, right?
Yeah.
So when people start playing with that and then gaslighting as if that's what the other side's doing it, I'm just kind of like, you guys need to lower the temperature and step away a little. What's interesting about the U.S. though is that day-to-day life and
not
just
like
normal
this,
American
yeah.
people are still normal.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people like, what's it like out there? It's looking crazy and what. Like, bro, it's fine. Like,
you wouldn't know, right?
Just like an American could be watching these scenes from Leicester and everything.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, they might text me, Zuby, like, are you okay over there? Like, I'm seeing these scenes from the UK.
I'm fine,
like,
man. I'm
you know what I mean? Like, bro, like, I'm just walking around and everyone's cool.
Yeah.
The States is still like that. Yes, there is some madness here and there in pockets, but
I just want to warn though, like, things are calm until they're not. That's
I know
the
that,
thing,
for sure.
So it's one of those things where it's like, this sort of level of temperature raising. I mean, this is just open demonization of the political opponent. And that's so, honestly, it's so wrong. I just can't go over it. And then you got the sort of media reaction. This is like the Sacramento Bee being like, Biden rightly targeted MAGA fanatics, but he sounded divisive doing it. It's like, yeah, but that's because he essentially said they have to be killed.
MAGA fanatics.
Like, you're calling them like insane extremists. Like he called them extremists.
What even is a MAGA fanatic? I mean, they just come up with these terms, MAGA Republicans. It's like what's this? People who are pro-life and believe in God and individual liberty, and might like the American flag a bit more than is normal.
Yeah,
and like their Second Amendment and their First Amendment,
like the American Republic.
Yeah, I was like isn't that just an American?
Yeah, exactly. That's the country they grew up in. These are now MAGA fanatics, which shows you how far the left has gone. But anyway, the thing is, if it was just rhetoric, okay, maybe that would be fine, but it's not. It's actual action as well. For example, the Justice Department going after basically all of Trump's friends. Now, this is Banana Republic level stuff. Like, this is persecuting the previous administration. It used to be a tacit agreement that you didn't persecute the previous administration because, of course, if you get out of office, you're going to be persecuted, but also you're destabilizing the structure of the republic itself. This is wrong. Even if you think the guy did something wrong, like this is going way too far. 40 subpoenas in a week right? Seizing the phones of, two top advisors, all of his aides basically have been subpoenaed. It's like, what are you lunatics doing? And what it is, I think that at the core of it is they're afraid that Donald Trump is going to run in 2024 and he's going to smash them because Joe Biden hasn't exactly done a good job. I mean, everyone remembers how much money they were earning under Trump. I mean, there was a segment on Tim Pool that I thought was great where you could see that over time Tim Pool has become like very hardcore Trump, right? And I love it, right? Because he in his soul he's moderate, but like, it's clear that the Democrats are not governing well. Trump did govern well, and so he's got no choice but to lean into it. So we're like, well, look, everything was going great under Trump. Why would I object to this? And everyone can remember, it was only a couple of years ago that everything was brilliant. Biden gets in, everything tanks. It's like, okay, look, it's not even a question, right? And so anyway, this is quite terrifying. And so the one subpoena obtained by the New York Times says they asked for any records of communications from people who organized, spoke, or provided security for Mr. Trump's rally at the Ellipse. They also requested information about any members of the executive and legislative branches who have taken part in planning or executing the rally or tried to obstruct, influence, impede, or delay the certification of the president's election. It's like, well, you guys did the same thing with the Russia investigation in 2016, 2017. You guys did exactly the same thing. All they did is it was a bunch of boomers who wandered around and messed up a few offices. No one was armed.
Dude, I must say, I don't think any event in history has been more overblown than January 6th.
Yeah.
Like,
it's wild, isn't it?
One person died. One woman who was shot by a police officer.
Yeah.
One of the protesters. They call it a deadly insurrection.
Yeah.
The one person. For context, over 30 people died in the BLM riots in that same year.
Yeah.
Or the year before even.
Yeah.
2020. Where that's not even a conversation. That's dead and forgotten and gone. 30 people died.
Yep.
30 people died. I don't know how many buildings destroyed. I don't know how many people injured.
Billions in damage.
It was like, it was stupid. I'm not condoning the actions, but it's not the way they talk. The way they talk about January 6th, they've compared it to Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, 9/11.
Compared it to 9/11. I mean, bro,
come on! It's just no one's buying it. It's your echo chamber is saying this to itself, but no one buys it.
No, it's so weird. In the States, they really still talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
like on the news and what. You're just like, dude, like what? January 6th, January 6th.
I remember watching the footage come out of it, like people like Baked Alaska on, picking up Nancy Pelosi's phone and messing her up the papers on the desk. It's like, these are not insurrectionists. These are idiots.
They weren't even armed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, they're not armed, but
they weren't even. But that's a big deal in the U.S.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Like they were in the U.S. If they'd all had AR-15s and been strapped and whatever, and they all ran into. It's like, okay, that's. But like they literally walked in with some wearing silly outfits, waving flags.
It's actually remarkable. You can get so many Republicans together and them not being armed. Like, where else would you go?
And here's another one that they forgot. They forgot that when this happened several years ago, when feminists broke into the Capitol.
That's right.
Right after the Kavanaugh. Feminists did an insurrection.
And when
on the Capitol.
When Antifa attacked the White House and Trump had to go into hiding. That was it. Like, I think it was 2019, 2020.
Remember Chaz Chop?
Yeah, exactly.
Taking over a whole city block for over a week.
It's mad. and again, like 6 people died.
Dude, can you imagine if a right wing militia took over just Swindon Town Center, just took over took over blocks, but like in the state, like
it would be insane.
It would, bro. They would have the military would have been in there. They would have. It was. I actually know someone who was living in Chop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was she was living in downtown
Seattle. Oh right, and it formed around. Oh god,
she didn't leave her house for a week. It just formed around her apartment.
Jesus,
and she was just there like.
Well, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah, she lives in Miami now.
Yeah.
But can you imagine like this thing just one day they just
I can't imagine it. It's like, oh god, what now?
And remember they had their racially segregated their racial segregation and then they were trying to grow vegetables and stuff.
Oh god. But anyway, so this is all building up to an indictment of Trump, obviously. They're trying to make it, we can get to the next one. They're trying to make it so he can't run again because they know that he's going to crush them. And they're concerned about this. So they're putting a lot of pressure on Trump and his lawyers. And they're getting hung up on whether he declassified the documents that were at his house. Now, the FBI released the heavily redacted like warrant and things. And so they found nothing of any particular importance. And Trump's lawyers are like, well, look, if we do this all now, if you indict Trump, then we actually lose part of our defense because it's already out in the open and you've already got access to it. And so they're like, oh, well, this is proof that actually Donald Trump had not declassified these documents. It's like he was the president. He could just say it. He could do it any time. There is no higher authority when it comes to classification. And so it's you can see it's this general sort of milieu of madness that's taken hold of the Democrats. And then you get to their public rhetoric. Now, we've got a few clips here that are just all like important, elected representatives who are Democrats. And it's like they don't realize how crazy they sound. Let's play the first one.
That's the difference between the two parties in a nutshell. While MAGA Republicans are fixated on their extremist agenda like a national abortion ban, Democrats are focused on creating jobs, lowering costs, and bringing the country together.
No one on earth thinks that's true, Chuck. Really bringing people together there. My opponent's evil. I'm good. We're bringing the country together. It's mental, right? And then you get, this is a Senate nominee, Tim Ryan, I think it is, on the phone to MSNBC. And it's just, if this was right-wingers, again, like I hate to be like, well, imagine if the situation was reversed. But just listen to this rhetoric. This is crazy.
We can move out of this age of stupidity and into an age of reconciliation and reform. How do we fix all of these broken systems? Some of those answers will come from Republicans. It's not the extremists that we're dealing with every single day. We've got to kill and confront that movement. But working with normal mainstream Republicans.
Kill and confront that movement.
Strange language.
You wouldn't use that language normally.
No.
Like that is unbelievable, right? And then you've got them saying a literal call to arms. You get the next one.
They love killing babies, man.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That's their sacrament. The abortion thing there, like they're enthusiastic about it.
It's disgusting.
I saw a song about it the other day. I was just like I thought I'd heard
a pro-abortion song.
I thought I'd heard. I've been listening to hip hop music for over 20 years, and I thought that I had heard the most degenerate things possible.
Yeah.
It was topped last week. The
What
whole
was the song?
I don't even want to promote it in any
okay.
way, but the whole song was
like peons.
It was
and
shot.
murdering
It was
babies.
shot outside Planned Parenthood.
Oh.
A rap video, literally all talking about talking about getting an abortion and like.
See, a lot of people are like, well,
it was mind blowing.
when American Republicans are like, this is kind of satanic. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God or Satan and stuff like that, and I'm not like involved in like Christian circles, but it is hard to say that that's not satanic. Like
it's demonic. It's a complete inversion.
Yeah, it's monstrous.
Yeah, it's monstrous. It's one, and again, you have to, if you want to talk about parties shifting, what was the old Democratic line on that issue?
Safe, legal, and rare. Yeah.
Right now, it's anytime, any place, it's not. They call it healthcare.
Yeah, up until the point of birth.
It's one thing saying you think something, maybe it's a necessary evil, certain circumstances, whatever. It's icky. I don't like it.
Yeah.
That's one thing. It's another thing being enthusiastic about it, or celebrating it, or calling it healthcare.
Yeah.
Or calling it, they call abortion care. They use that term, abortion care.
I mean, it's always an evil. It's just whether it's a necessary evil or not, right? That's how I've always viewed it. Like, okay, if the mother's going to die, fine. If it's a threat to the mother, you're going to have to make a choice.
That's the pro-life position,
right?
right?
Yeah,
like
exactly,
that is
right?
the pro-life. Yeah. There's not a pro-life person who
wants the mother to die.
No, that's not a position.
No,
right?
Or if it was, it'd be a really
extremely rare.
About,
yeah, like that's but the point even with that particular one is, the baby can be delivered even if the baby's not going to. There's a difference between delivering a baby and giving them palliative care or attempting them to live versus just intentionally killing them, right?
But the thing is, like, have you considered that maybe you need to fight a civil war over this? Let's play this clip.
This is an outright attack on women in this country. That is how I see it. That is how more and more women and those who support our right to make decisions about our own body. That is how we see it. And why? Because that's what's happening.
They're
Madam
so
President,
dishonest, man. They're snakes.
I use the floor, but clearly, this is a literally call to arms in our country.
Literally call to arms, says some little old lady who's obviously not going to pick up arms.
Yeah.
Mad. But you are right. It's an insane frame.
It's really weird. It's very weird, and it's
extreme. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And this one I just thought was amazing because it was. Let's just play it just so you can see it because it's just wild.
You know, there's a part of me that says that we have 128 bases and installations in these red states, in these states that ban abortion. Maybe we should just move these bases.
Got to make sure the military isn't in red states because they ban abortion. It's like, sorry, are you like if you were setting up for a civil war, like this is what it would sound like.
And the thing is, they're demons, and they're also liars because abortion isn't even banned.
No, I know.
I think it should be, but that's not even.
No.
That's not even where things are. So they're not even operating off of facts, right? No. There are places where there's now like a 15-week limit and things like that, which is very much in line with where Europe generally is.
Oh, no, Europe's more conservative.
Europe's,
like, Europe's
12.
like 12, 12,
right?
12 weeks.
It's UK that's actually pretty extreme. UK is 24.
Yeah, I know.
Canada has no limit. Yeah. UK, by the way, has no limit in things as mild as having a cleft palate.
Yeah. Right? It's wild.
So actually, the US is, if anything, shifting in line with many other developed countries. But yeah, it's weird, you know. And the thing with the States is, I mean, I've got a lot of friends there who are fully ready for secession, especially out in Texas. Yeah. But I don't know, man. It's in a precarious position for sure.
Well, it is because, as Aaron here points out, the Republican Party's top two 2024 presidential candidates, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, are now under criminal investigation.
Why is DeSantis under criminal investigation?
Human trafficking.
Oh, the muscles.
Well.
And I just found out today. Do you know where that idea came from?
No.
Candace Owens.
Oh, brilliant.
It was Candace Owens. It was Candace Owens' idea. I don't think she's gotten any props. She had a tweet. She had a tweet in April.
Yeah.
That's saying ship them to Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, yeah. And no, so within 24 hours, it's like, right, military, deport. It's like, well, there we go. That's what you can do because that's what they did. Yeah. But the thing is, what's the charge, right? And so the Democrat sheriff in Bexar County, who's opened up the investigation, I don't know what gives him jurisdiction, has said that he cannot point to any criminal statutes that have been violated. It was just distasteful. We didn't like it. And therefore Ron DeSantis is now, and it's like, look, this is how nakedly partisan this has become, right? Like the Democrats are driving things completely into the ground. Like, for example, Mike Lindell, the MyPillow, the pillow salesman, got raided.
Oh, wow, yeah.
The pillow salesman. He was a threat to the Republic, was he?
You know, those pillows, I haven't used one, but
I hear they're good. I hear from Posobiec that they're brilliant pillows, you know? Like, so, I mean, and I'm sure they are, you know, I've got no doubt that the man knows his pillows. But if you get to the next one, he says that he was raided when he was at a restaurant. They surrounded him and seized his phone. It's like, really? How was he a threat to the Republic at a restaurant?
Yeah, the FBI is really being weaponized.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They told him to shut up and don't tell anyone. It's like, oh, that's what people who are doing the right thing do. Say, shh, don't tell anyone about this.
Yeah.
Weird. And so the Columbia Bugle raises a good point. Why aren't the Republicans acting? Well, these raids will carry on because the Republicans won't do anything. Yeah. And Kim.com, I thought, made a good point. Biden uses the DOJ and FBI to suppress the crimes of his son and raid the homes of his political rivals. Biden warns that democracy is in danger. Well, he is the danger. It's like, yeah, it kind of looks like it, actually. You know, this in fact, the left would describe this as stochastic terrorism. You're aware of, for anyone who's not aware, stochastic terrorism is a term that has been popularized among left-wing commentators, saying, well, all of this violent rhetoric increases the chances of a terror attack, and therefore the rhetoric itself becomes a form of terrorism.
Yep.
Well, we have a great example of that, unfortunately, from, I think it was literally yesterday, where a young man called Kayla Ellingson, 18 years old, was driven down by 41-year-old Shannon Brandt because of his political persuasion.
Wait,
right?
what?
I'm not even joking. So this happened. The court papers show that Brandt called 911 around 2:30 a.m. on a Sunday and told the dispatcher that it just hit Ellington Ellingson, sorry, claiming the teen was part of a Republican extremist group
What?
and calling people to come get Brandt after a political argument.
Oh, I didn't
So
see this.
some guy who's obviously excessively online was like, "Oh, MAGA extremists are bad," and then gets into an
And ran it over an 18-year-old.
and killed an 18-year-old.
What?
So this is actually an example of stochastic terrorism in action.
What? I haven't.
this
This is just today.
Yeah. I think the actual. Can you pull up the article? I did pull it up earlier, but I think it was yesterday. But if you scroll down just so we can see the date, it was very, very recent. On the 19th. But yeah, so it just they got into some sort of political argument.
Dude, I don't like to do this whole if this had happened the other way around thing.
Sure.
But if this had happened the other way, if a Trump support, if a Republican, if a conservative, it did happen. It happened. The woman who was killed at the Unite the Right rally, the guy hit her in the car.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is still talked about to this day.
Heather Heyer?
Heather Heyer. You're right. Exactly. Right. That was massive news. That was the thing.
Rightfully so.
Yes, exactly. This is the same.
Exactly the same
thing.
Yeah. And so this Kayla Ellingson he called his mum to come and rescue him because Shannon Brandt was chasing him with his car.
What?
And he killed him for being a Republican extremist.
How do you kill an 18-year-old kid for being
because you're really online and they're saying the MAGA extremists have to be dealt with. We've got to kill this MAGA movement. That's why.
This is an infinitely bigger story than this.
Yeah.
Man.
I know. It's wild, isn't it?
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium videos we do, this one on the rise and fall of British rail. And if you want to find out what else Carl's putting out, you can follow him on Getter at Carl Benjamin on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.